This is the real me. This all I got. This all I got. I can't go back. No, I can't hold back. This is the real me.
Welcome to the Good Vibes Only podcast with the greatest vibes on anywhere. So sit back, wind up, take your mouth for a little bit of time and enjoy. All right. Today's podcast will be talking about good progress and the fact that I need to get a little progress on how to open my eyes. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. I heard the criticism. It's okay. All right. I'm not high. I'm just sleepy. Anyway, but today's podcast is about good progress. And we have a special guest, someone whose smile lights up the room and looks like, and I like to call her the finance auntie, but we can call her today Triana. So with further ado, my special guest, once again, Triana. Everybody
Hey
clap.
y'all.
Everybody clap. Everybody clap. So in this podcast, I always introduce my guests, but I don't want to disrespect nobody. I don't want to. He ain't give my just dues. So would you be so kind as to introduce yourself and what do you do as a person?
Sure. So my name is Triana,
Mhm.
and what do? I broadcast. I also have a background in community nutrition, hospitality events, and customer service. So that's a lot of what I do. I love to travel. That's one of my life passions, and I love to learn.
Oh God, traveling is to me has always been like the one thing that I've always liked to do, and I'm a traveler, and the reason why I say I'm a traveler is because for some apparent reason I can't stay in the same place for too long. I don't know why. It irks me. It makes me feel like I ain't doing nothing or I'm stagnant. I don't know why. I don't get it. So when I do get it, I'll let y'all know. But I've always felt like that. So when I was like 18, my mom thought it was like a phase or something like that. She was like, nah. She's like, no one moves out of the house at 18 years old. All the kids stayed until they're like 23 or something like that. And I was like, I'm not all your kids. I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna go figure it out. So I left. I left the house at 18 and I moved to North Carolina. In the same year, I then moved to Kentucky. A year later, I then moved to Indiana. A year later, I then moved to Oklahoma.
Uh huh.
A year later, I then moved to New York.
Oh wow.
And then 3 years later, New York is the longest place I've stayed so far. And then 3 years later, I moved here in Texas, where I feel like I'm gonna stay for a while because I own a house here. So this is where I'm gonna stay. So for you, the question is, what preempts you to travel so much? What's the motivation to travel so much?
Okay, I think it's funny because I actually haven't traveled too much since the pandemic. Um, that was supposed to be my time to really travel. But I think part of it is growing up and not. I traveled, domestically, but I always wanted to go out of the country. I loved reading, and I think if you don't have the means to travel, reading is a great avenue, especially for children,
Hmm.
to explore the world. So that was my way of exploring the world or exploration. And I'm like, okay, one day when I'm older and I make my own money and I can do things for myself, then that's what I want to do. And I didn't know how, or didn't necessarily have the resources for it when I started either. But I'm like, I gotta get this passport. I'm working, got my passport, and then found ways through school and stuff to start exploring. And I just think it's one of the best ways of learning about yourself and learning about the world and your place within it.
I think I like that. So since this is about since this is about progress, and I love that. That's actually really good that you're like finding a way because I've always been a person that's like, all right, I'm gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this out. I don't know how I'm gonna figure it. I don't know how I'm gonna figure it out. I've been known as a person to just figure out the impossible, and to be honest with you, I don't know how to do it, but it happens. So I wanna. So since this is about progress, and it seems like one of your dreams is um, to travel. So to me, when it comes to progress, progress means that at least you're doing something. It doesn't mean that you don't have to achieve something to gain progress. You have to just work at it or get better at what you're doing. It doesn't mean you have to go higher just because you got better. It just means that you are getting better at what you're doing. And that to me is the progress. Although my dreams are high as hell, it does not mean that I have to reach those dreams. It just means that at least if I gave my all, I'm good. So to you, what do you classify progress as?
Hmm, that's a great question. And I probably should look. I love looking at the definition to see what the definition says, and
Hmm.
then build around that. But progress to me, the first thing I think of is moving forward. One foot in front of the other. And I agree where it doesn't have to be necessarily fast or necessarily up all the time, but it's going in a positive direction more so than anything. Um,
So definition of progress is forward or onward movement towards destination. That's in a noun sense. A verb sense is moving forward or onward in space or time.
mhm.
So that is a definition of progress. And to me, whenever I think a lot of people, I think we get like this misconception of progress. And the Good Vibes Only podcast, we like to talk about the positives. But I also think that we also, as a people, I think progress kind of gets misconstrued as I can see it, right? I can see it instead of all right, what did I do or something like that. So as far as you, what do you think some of the things that as far as the progress sense, what do you think the differences are between seeing and doing?
What are the difference between seeing and doing in general?
Yes, and when it comes to progress and the
When
progresses.
it, so in general and when it comes to progress?
Yes.
Seeing and doing. The difference between seeing and doing in general to me is seeing is observing. Seeing is more passive. It's not active. Seeing just involves your eyes, really looking at something, right? And doing is action.
Yes.
Um, it involves actually putting work into something. It involves movement. It involves more than the eyes. You're actually doing something. I said it like that. I don't know why. That's how it came out. Uh, and I'm saying eyes, like eyes. Okay, right? Um, yeah. So that's it in general. And then when it comes to progress, the difference between seeing and doing progress. Seeing, it could also be like if you're just learning. So, for example, if I'm trying to get better at something, I'm trying to progress, I might study that. Studying might involve, looking at other people. That's seeing, right?
Yeah.
Um, Observing, studying, learning could be seen as seeing, but also there's a lower that where it's also doing when you're actually doing an action
Yes.
towards that progress. So once you start moving and putting actions towards it, that's when it becomes progress, or when it becomes doing with progress. And doing in terms of progress, let me see. Um, it could be little things like whatever you're trying to progress at. So whatever steps. and
Yes.
actions you could take towards getting better or towards that um, forward motion.
I think I definitely 100% agree. I agree so much. I don't actually have a point after that. That I agree. I agree. I agree so much because whenever we talk about seeing or doing, I think it's the difference between subjective and objective, right? Subject and objective, right? Seeing being subjective. Seeing, I can see something different than what you see. I can see something, completely offset to what you saw, to what you see. There was a whole challenge out there between a dress, or whether a dress was like blue or purple. I can't remember the colors that came out about this dress, but it was a whole 2 million videos and crap about a colors, and it cringed me out. But that's nonetheless, um, but nonetheless, that's still a good example here. There was a videos about like the colors of a dress, whether it was purple or green. We're gonna go with those two colors. I don't know the colors, but we're gonna go purple or green. And some people were seeing this, some people were seeing that, and both sides were basically saying the same thing. Are y'all blind? Are you colorblind or something like that? When we're both seeing something different, but it's
Yeah.
experience is what we're seeing. All right, you may see something the way I see something. The same thing with progress. I may see my progress as, hey, I got booked to be in a writer's room. But you might see progress as, hey, I'm getting booked. So it might be that same, it might be just that real difference as whereas doing is objective. I have to actually be here in this situation, and have to actually be here in this situation to where, all right, I'm doing it. Okay, now I have to go back, but they still tie it. They still tie in. No matter what, they still tie in. I have to. And if I do something, I didn't have to see it to know where I'm going. All right, I have to see what I'm doing to know where I'm going. So that kind of leads me to it. That kind of leads me to my next question is, when it comes to like when it comes to trying to be a progressive, or like trying to move forward or something like that, what are some of the things that you do whatever you feel like it's hard to move forward? That's the first question. What are some of the things that you do when you feel like it's hard to move forward or progress or try to progress?
So when I feel like it's hard to move forward, that's where your values and morals, those sorts of things become really important because you have to kind of go more to the core of who you are,
Yes.
your whys. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Sometimes you get in those points where we don't really know why we're doing the things we're doing. And so sometimes we have to, and that's a lot of times when we get into that point of, I forgot how the question was framed, but when you're having trouble moving forward, sometimes you have to revert back and,
Yes.
you have to revert back and kind of
Yes.
reset and ground yourself again. So grounding is very important. I'm still working on that myself within my life, but the older I'm getting, and we go through these. Everyone goes through phases in life. Some phases are happier, some phases are sadder, some phases, you're more sure of yourself, what you're doing. Some phases you don't know what the heck is going on. We go through all those things, but just reverting back and kind of regrounding yourself um, will really help when you don't know how to move forward or what you're really doing.
I so agree with what you're saying, because like a lot of people, to me, and this does not go to the audience. This does not mean that I'm singling out anybody in the audience. I just think, to me, that sometimes we move way too fast. We want life to go, all right, I started, I started trying to be a singer. Tomorrow, I'll be at the Grammys.
Yes.
I feel like as people, we start going, I'm gonna start here, but I'm gonna be at the Grammys tomorrow. And when we don't realize that even people who started out in the industry had a journey to stay in the industry. For example, and this is a good example for everyone listening. Raven Simone started out in the industry with Friday and with movies like my bad shows like The Cosby Show and etc. She started out as a child actress. We didn't really She didn't really, even though the Cosby Show really did give her a good push, and we did love her as a character on the Cosby Show. She didn't really get her real good push until she ended up on this the That's So Raven. And so that's her big push. And even then, she's in the industry and she's still working. She's still going. There's still, no matter what people don't realize is that even if you reach your goal, even if you reach your heights, you still have to work in order to not only stay within your dream, or if you want to reach higher, then hey, I just made it on a big movie. All right, cool. If you want to make it on, if that's what you want, that's what you want. That's why I don't want to single anybody out. If you just want to make it on a big movie, you can make it on a big movie. But some of us got to understand that progress is just that the big movie is just a part of the progress, and you sometimes you got to move back, go backwards, start from where you started, because failure is not a no. Failure is just let's restart and do it another way. That's all failure is. It's a progress. Progress will come along with you when you go for it. So the second question I had towards that is, what are some of the things that you think that you well not think, but what are some of the things that you do in order to continue to have that continued progress whenever you're moving towards your goals?
That's so interesting because that's something that I don't think I've struggled with, staying motivated um, and getting towards certain goals. It's funny because I don't feel like I'm the most motivated person, and yet I still do things and I'm able to reach my goals. And so I'm just like, how? And so I think it's a funny perspective. It's a cool perspective because some people are so, can they really understand what it's like to go through those seasons of not having that motivation, or something horrible happened and just there's things that happen in life that affect you or can affect you and can change that level of motivation, that level of importance towards these goals, you know what I mean? And also goals can change, so there's that too, where it seems pretty straightforward, but I'm more gray. A lot of people are maybe black and white. I'm more gray. I'm kind of all over the place, and that's just fine. But I don't feel like there's just one way of being. Um, Goals change, and I already forgot what the main root of the question is. So you're gonna have to tell me again so I can completely answer it. But I'm starting there with the answer to the question.
So the question was, what do you think you do when it comes to progress to your goals? And one thing you just named, it was adaptation. I think that kind of boils down. I think what you just said kind of boils down to adapting, right? So adapting to the situation, which is perfectly, in all honesty, probably the best way in a lot of situations to go about tackling an issue is adapting. All right, cool. I
Yeah.
did it this way. Let me try. I did it this way and I failed horribly. Let me try it another way. Let me go. Let me
Ooh.
go. Let me go
Oh,
this way. I
I got
went
a perfect.
exactly.
I have a perfect example.
What?
Okay, you said reaching a goal, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I was in college for a long time, partially because I started off part time and was working and traveling, all that kind of stuff in school. So it took me a while. But there was one class that almost ruined it all, chemistry.
Mm.
People literally change their whole career goals because of chemistry. So whenever I bring up the, you see a reaction. A lot of people have a reaction when I use the word chemistry. You know, they're like, "Oh yeah, I was gonna be a doctor, but then chemistry." So now, like people literally change their whole careers because of this class. So I took that class. Must have been, for I don't know how many times. I took that class a lot of times, right? So a part of this progress that I had in mind, this goal, and me achieving this goal was I had to finish this class. And it got to a point of where, okay, so in the beginning I was taking the class because of course I needed it for my degree. But then also the goal, it didn't necessarily change. And then my goal just became, okay, well, there's this big goal that I have, but I have to break it down into pieces. Because yes, I'm trying to get this degree, but this one class can get in the way. That's just one piece of that bigger goal, but I have to complete this piece in order to get to that bigger goal. So then it broke down from, larger goal, me getting my degree, smaller goal, passing all these classes every semester. Okay, this class is a lot harder. I can't take 5 classes with chemistry. As you grow and learn, and you have to really be real with yourself. And honesty is really important. I feel like a lot of people lie to themselves. Like they do. Yes. Like they're not honest with themselves. They're not reflecting. They're not being real with themselves. So how can they be real with? Can't be real with anybody else if you're lying to yourself, right?
Yes.
But realistically, I'm like, okay, Triana. Some people could work and do school and they're superhuman. Like I don't understand it. Like, they could work full time and go to school full time. I'm not one of those people. So I had to learn myself to be honest with myself, Triana. Okay, so you're working 32 hours. You struggling over here. You are struggling. Your grades are falling. Something has to give. Okay? And so really learning and paying attention to myself and then adjusting. So that's where that adaptation comes in. Is me adapting to who I am and what works best for me in order to achieve that goal. But also breaking it into pieces. Okay, I'm taking 5 classes this semester. They better be 5 easy classes, or else I won't need to take 4, 3, 2. Chemistry, I might have to take that with 1, 2 other classes maximum in order to achieve this greater goal. So yes, breaking it down might take longer, but if I don't break it down, I might not ever achieve that goal.
Exactly. I 100%. I 100%. I 100% agree because breaking it down, it's what people. I think what people don't realize is that whenever you're going about your goals, to me, it's like a tree, or I call it a weird tree. I call it a weird tree. And hear me. Ain't that crazy? Tree. Anyway, but I call it a weird tree, right? So the reason why I call it a weird tree is because you might start off like as most trees start off. They start off as this one big like stump that just goes up, right? And it's just like this one big line. You're going, and then all of a sudden, hey, bruh, you need to go this way. So your mind is going that way. And so there's a part of you that subconsciously, all right, I'm gonna go this way. No, that don't work. Let's go this way. All right, that don't work. All right, hey, bro, we need you to go this way. All right, cool. And then moral standpoint, what people don't understand when it comes to like goal setting, there's so much more that goes into it. There's your morals. All right, keep your morals in check. All right, because you don't want to be selling your soul or whatever you got to do. It doesn't get here. And then it goes into all right, finance. You still have to go with finance. All right, cool. You gotta pay in order to succeed, no matter what, you gotta give money to make money. So that's kind of how it goes. So these are just examples. This is not definitive things, but these are examples. In order to do that, you have to do that. So and then and then you have to figure out whether or not you're going the right way. And then you got to get a good team. Then you got to whether this team is good. It's all a part of the progress, and it's not all bad. This is all a part of good progress and having that good progress. So I 100% agree. She sipped the tea on that. Anyway, so, so I would like to. Unfortunately, this is a great conversation, but unfortunately, that is the end of the podcast. But with all podcasts, I always like to give the guests the opportunity to not only give a good word to the people. So, is there anything that you want to tell the people? Any like word of advice when it comes to progress, or anything in general that you want to tell the audience or anyone when it comes to anything? Doesn't have to be just progress.
Um, anything that I want to tell people? Hmm. Be good to yourself.
Hmm.
Um, do your best to be good to others. Let's get more connected to nature and consider nature and people. Be more considerate of those things. Um, focus on what's important, what's actually really important. Um,
Hmm.
what's really important isn't necessarily online.
Facts.
Uh,
Facts.
yeah, I'm still learning every day and growing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's some things.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I resonated the most with the nature thing because I'm a person who goes out and then I just stand outside and I just think about the importance of everything. Even grass is just important. Everything is here for a reason. So I do appreciate that. Is there anything that you got going on, got coming up that we should be looking forward to, or your social media, and also your social media? Where can we find
Okay, Zavon. And I also want to say thank you so much for asking me to join you on your podcast. I really appreciate you and your vibe and your perspective as well.
you? Thank you.
You're welcome. Where can y'all find me? Let's see. On Instagram, my handle is True Travels. It's also that on Twitter, which I don't go on much. And I broadcast on Coach as well. Um, let's see. It will include my link tree or some type of links, um, so you'll be able to find me.
Yes, in the description down below, it'll be there. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to thank my guests for being so awesome. Thank you for being so awesome. I want to thank every last one of y'all for being so awesome and sticking with me and sticking beside me. And until next time, much love, peace, and soul food, baby. Bye.